I'm going to throw it to you, and kind of as we kind of discussed, these guys need to finish at about 8:55, or the bell will start to ring. So if you kind of go into 8:55, you'll hear the bell of the day. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure it'll be rocking in some way, shape, or form. So yes, Beatrice, good morning. What time is it in New York at the moment?
It's 4 p.m.
4 p.m. in 90-degree Fahrenheit, New York City. It is absolutely awesome to have you here. Beatrice, for those of you that don't know, went to Wakatipu High School through 2017 and was our head girl in 2017. Pretty dynamic sort of dream team that she was a part of at the time. A couple of things that Beatrice did in her time at Wakatipu High School. There come a couple more folks. Come on in, team. So probably one of the biggest things, apart from kind of being head girl, was she ran Cook for a Cause, so 40-hour famine. And you're going to have to correct me on these details if need be, Beatrice, but I believe it was about 20,000 meals distributed throughout all of New Zealand. So set up a 40-hour famine where they went up to the skyline and literally cooked for 40 hours and then had this whole delivery system and delivered meals to kind of people around the country off the Cook for the Cause. So I'm sure you'll talk more about that, but that was quite a significant event. And then kind of after high school, one of the big things that kind of I recall Beatrice doing is she joined with a couple of other ex-students and started this concept of youth philanthropy New Zealand, so YPNZ, from which kind of Generation Give was an offspring of that. And that started in Queenstown and then was kind of rolled out throughout the country. So kind of YPNZ and Generation Give were two significant things here. And I just realized that Jess just walked in. So cousin Jess, say hello to your cousin. You guys can catch up a little bit later. But it is so awesome to have you call in. There was one student who said to me, because we put out this series of who's going to come, who's going to be speaking, and this student said to me, I'm so looking forward to hearing Beatrice speak. And I said, why is that? She's like, because she's just living her best life. And so envious of her. That's what she said to me. So yeah, that's a bit of an introduction. Lovely to have you. Like I said, zooming in from New York, and I'm going to throw it to you. But before we do, let's give Beatrice a warm welcome and applause.
Oh, that's so lovely. I don't think I've ever had like a full introduction before, and I gotta tell you, I couldn't help but like kind of get a little giggly over here. It's so good to see you all. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak. How exciting. And it's 8 a.m. with you. It's 4 p.m. with me in New York, so I feel like I've already had the whole day to get hydrated and caffeinated, and I'm completely cheating because you guys are all here with your notebooks ready to go at 8 a.m. But it's really interesting talking about like introductions, because I think I have become the biggest nerd when it comes to introductions of any kind. Leaving high school, one of the things that I learned the fastest is that you have to get pretty good at introducing yourself, because you will be introducing yourself all the time to people of all different kinds of varieties. And I think one thing that a teacher said to me, I think it was last year, that like really stuck with me is you never get a second chance at a first impression. And there was something so crazy about that. Like, I have one chance to leave some sort of impression with someone that I might really want to impress, or someone that I really just don't even super care about talking to, who could eventually be really prominent in my life. So with that in mind, and I mean, of course, like with Zoom, for example, and having oceans and oceans and oceans between us right now, I'm zooming in from my very hot New York City apartment where the Wi-Fi is terrible. I've kicked out my roommate because I don't want him using the Netflix on our Wi-Fi. I was like, go use a cafe. I need all the Wi-Fi. I'm doing a Zoom. And the kind of trials and tribulations of distance, I feel like the introduction has become even more important. And I imagine like when you first introduce yourself, there's like this distance between you. And then when you get the chance to introduce yourself, you have the opportunity to close it really quickly. So my thoughts around introducing myself today, for the people who know me or have seen me around, or the people that have never seen me before, how exciting. I get to introduce myself. So I have once again cheated, and I've actually formed a little bit of a list of the things that I kind of cheekily would like for you to know about me. And you can do this in an introduction anyway, but I'm going to be quite bold about it today and give you an actual bullet point list of all the things that I think would be kind of funny to know about me straight off the bat. So, my name is Beatrice Onions. A lot of my friends call me Beats or B. One of my friends calls me Onions, straight up, very loud in public. And his name's Caleb, and he graduated school with me in 2017. I am 22 years old. I'm turning 23 in 2 weeks, actually 13 days. That would make me a Leo, and Leos are very good at talking, so I might actually have to assign someone who's going to give me a big, like, wave at 8:45 your time. Can I get a hand? Who's gonna give me the wave? Typical. What else? Oh, so I am an only child. I kept this very secret growing up because I didn't want anyone to think I was spoiled. I tried to teach myself Norwegian last year. I've kept a diary for 6 years. I love hot yoga, wasabi peas, and buying secondhand books that have penciled annotations in the margin. I moved to New York City 1 year and 7 months ago. I would say my greatest strength is making friends. If we become the people that we are closest with, then having spectacular friends is the bare minimum. Something interesting about me is that I have a list on my phone called Words I Like, which I add to every time I read something that I would like to start incorporating into my vocabulary. Jess will laugh at this one. I am a vegan, but a cool vegan, which means I occasionally eat an almond croissant. I've run a half marathon. I won a short story competition when I was 12, and the reward was a Kindle and 50 books for my school library. The Kindle is in a box in my garage at home because I think Kindles are the root of all evil. Feel free to have an opposite opinion. I have never been stung by a bee, but I have a dormant fear that I'm very allergic to bees. Can you guys still see me? It says it's trying to connect.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe my roommate's back watching Stranger Things in my room somewhere. I was born in 29 minutes. I'm a drama major. And maybe the last thing you want to know about me is I'm really excited to talk to you guys because when I was sitting where you are now, I really loved listening to anyone that ever came to talk or anything of that variety because it gave me a good idea about finding a goal I really wanted to have that really, really scared me and how I was going to pursue it. So that's my introduction. I'm just checking that you guys are still there because I've got you lost your network connection, so I can't see you. But if you can see me, then that is all that matters.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I guess that's my cheat introduction. But I love being specific. I feel like when people give me specifics or when you introduce yourself specifically, it really changes the game because suddenly you know a load about someone. And when you introduce yourself, you get the same opportunity to be.
It looking bad now. No, we can see it's just
I'm back. I'm back. And I think something that's really exciting is when you have the opportunity to be in a group of people, and when you're at school and you get to be a leader, would it be afforded to you to meet people? Sorry, is the Wi-Fi working?
Yeah.
Is it going in and out, or am I clear?
No, it's going in and out.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can, wait, surely this is the 21st century, I can figure this out. Okay, bear with, give me 1 second, I'm going to get my phone. Let me get Okay, I'm back. I'm going to hotspot off my phone and see if it's my Wi-Fi. I feel like the school Wi-Fi will be really strong, so it's almost certainly my Wi-Fi.
Debatable.
Okay.
I think just carry on. It's only been a little bit interrupted.
Okay, perfect. Sitting in your position, I think one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got is imagine yourself as a sponge, just like sitting there and soaking up pretty much like all of the information that's given to you, whether it's listening to speakers outside of school, whether it's joining like leadership opportunities and being able to listen to a wide variety of people, like really soak up any kind of information you can get, because you never know what might come back around and help you later on. And I think one of those opportunities for me, which really stands out, and I was looking back through the YouTube channel where you guys have pre-recorded all of these things, and I saw the amazing.
You're just frozen a little bit.
Agony.
Look, you're back.
Oh, you're back. Oi.
Okay, I'm back. So
So
I was
looking
saying
through
that
YouTube. Yeah.
let me see. I'm going to try and connect to. Okay, I'm back. So I was looking through the videos of people who've previously spoken with you, and I saw that you had Melindy speak with you, which is so incredible because I feel like probably one of the most impactful things that's happened to me in the past 10 years is by far going on Outward Bound. And I thought that I would share a small anecdote of my time when I got to go to Outward Bound, and thought it was probably going to be the most horrific thing that had ever happened to me in the whole entire world. As head girl, I was lucky enough to have a scholarship to go on Outward Bound. I was sitting in bed with my best friend eating a Fat Badger's pepperoni, ham and pineapple, very non-vegan pizza. And I got an email saying, Outward Bound's been confirmed, April 1st, so exciting. And I remember sitting there and thinking, oh no. No. I will not be attending Outward Bound. I do not have one sporty bone in my body. I have not done one cross country in my whole entire existence. I Googled how you get out of Outward Bound and was told that it had to be via some form of romantic relationship or a serious broken bone. And I thought, well, there's my answer. This is how it's going to happen. And I pretty much didn't pack my bag until the last second going Outward Bound, out of this like desperate fear that I was no way at all fit enough mentally or physically to attend this course with a half marathon at the end. No way was that happening. So I went on Outward Bound and was put in a group with some of like the most athletic, like training for rowing, training for all these things like every day of the week, every morning. And I just thought to myself, you've got to be kidding. Like, this is playing into all of my weaknesses. I cannot believe I'm here. I'm trying to be grateful. I'm trying to enjoy it, but I am so terrified. And I was put in a group with this guy. And his name is Sean. And Sean is now one of my really good friends. But at the time, Sean was probably the absolute opposite of me. We were complete inversions of each other. He was really sporty. I was very creative. He was very assertive. I was very quiet and kind of led from behind. He was quite dominant in the group. He would often make decisions on behalf of the group, even though everyone kind of was like, yeah, okay, we'll go along with it, Sean, good idea. You set the alarm. You decide where we should hike that day. And I remember just sitting there and being like, this guy is getting on my nerves. Like, everyone kind of thinks that he's a good leader because he's very strong and very bold and very authoritative, which I guess he is for all of those reasons, but I didn't see myself in that at all. So I kind of had this moment where I was like, if I'm quiet and creative and a little more kind of like quirky and understated, does that mean that I'm not particularly collaborative? Does that kind of put me at the back of this group? And halfway through, Sean is thriving. He's, I guess you guys are familiar somewhat with the structure of Outward Bound, which is like very intense physical exercise, lots of really early mornings, a lot of structure, routine, rigidity. And you have a lot of things like kayaking, you have hiking, you have pretty much all of my absolute things straight out of my nightmares, pretty much. And I remember one day, Sean was really quite frustrating me, and it was starting to wear on. We were all kind of in a group together, getting rained on, camping in the middle of nowhere, and we'd all started kind of frustrating each other, which is what happens when you get close to anyone, really, is there comes a point where you spend a lot of time with each other. And we got back to the cabin that night, and I had probably 20 letters all arrive for me from people from home, checking in, sending me crosswords, jokes, Sudokus, journal entries, short stories, letters, the whole thing. And I look over at Sean, and he's sitting on his bottom bunk bed, and he's kind of looking at me like, and I was like, okay, weird, hello, what are you doing? And he was like, I just don't get how people like you. Like, I don't get how people, like, he kind of was saying, like, I don't get how you get so much mail and all these people are checking in on you, and I haven't had one letter. I've not had one person contact me. And it doesn't add up. Like, I think he was having a moment, and I was having a moment where I was like, I want to be more assertive and dominant and athletic, and I want to be showing like my prowess on this trip. And Sean was having another moment where he was like, I want to make friends. Like, I actually want people to like me. And we had this really incredible talk where I think I realized for the first time that my strengths were a lot more to do with talking to people and having meaningful interactions and like helping people when they were feeling homesick or hanging, rock climbing on the side of the cliff and getting really scared of heights. And I would kind of sit there and chat with them on the side of the cliff. And one of the guys in my group was terrified of deep water, and kayaking was like a major no-no. And I realized that my strengths were also really impactful and really important and completely specific to me. And only in extreme circumstances do you really see them shine. And I guess something that is really exciting to figure out is when you're a young person, it's really it feels like the only way you can be a leader is if you're assigned a position of power and you get to tell other people what to do. Like, okay, guys, I'm a school leader now. I get to tell people what they should be doing, and it feels very, very good. I remember like that I felt that the only way I could be somewhat of a leader was when I was given power. But when you kind of graduate out of school and you enter, you know, groups of collaboration, or you go to uni, or you do Camp America, or you work, whatever that might be, it becomes maybe less hierarchical and more socially collaborative. So it doesn't actually necessarily serve you potentially to find a leadership position, but more a collaborative position, which often requires being a personal leader for yourself and liking the way that you talk to people and finding your strengths in rooms full of people. So I guess, yeah, something just to think about, like food for thought would be how exciting it is that you get the chance now to introduce yourself to people and to make first impressions and to figure out how you want to introduce yourself to people. The other thing that I was going to mention is maybe it would be helpful to hear like a little bit about my journey out of school. So I went to Queenstown Primary. Anyone from Queenstown Primary in here? No. Oh, okay, we got a few hands. We moved house and I went to Arrowtown Primary for the rest of my primary school experience. But I was born in the UK, so I travelled between the UK and New Zealand for most of my life. I went to Wakatipu for a year. I then went to St. Kentigern College in Auckland for a year. I came back to Wakatipu and kind of realised that I needed to figure out what on earth I wanted to do. And I decided that I was going to lock in a leadership position at school. That's really what I wanted to do. I worked really hard. I was involved in everything, 40-hour famine, student councils. I really tried to do like everything I could to get as much exposure as possible to meeting people and talking to people and hearing from people, trying to like I was a detective, like finding any kind of clue, turning over 1 million different rocks to see if there was anything that really caught my attention. I graduated, I had loads of momentum, felt like on top of the world, like I was living in Queenstown, which has got so many exciting opportunities. There's like loads of people who are masters at what they do in Queenstown, and a lot of them are parents, and they're living in this tiny honey magnet town. You've got artists, photographers, athletes. You've got some of the most incredible people, places, restaurants, views, tourism. There's just so much going on in Queenstown, and I felt like there was 1 million different paths I could take, and I was like, I just don't know which one. There's so much going on. I'm so excited. I'm so inspired. I've got a lot of pressure. Which is the right one? I've since debunked this, and I would like to emphasize that there is no one answer or one path. When you leave school, or even when you're at school, you can always shortcut yourself through to the path one over, or figure out you want to change halfway through or go up a different path, because ever since I graduated high school, I have been chopping and changing through different paths the whole time. And it is a little bit scary, but really, really necessary if you want to stay true to like what you want to do and what you want to pursue. So I guess I'm assuming here, but I'm guessing a lot of you are year 13, if not all of you. All of you are year 13? Okay. Okay. I felt that year 13 was the year of older people asking you, so what are you going to do with your life? And I'm sure you guys can relate to this. But I was like, I don't know. What do you think I should do with my life? And everyone was kind of like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, well, nor do I. If you've got any ideas, I would love to hear them, but I can't decide if I want to go to Vic Otago, Camp America, take a year off, travel, Broadway. I've got so many ideas. I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel completely underqualified to direct my own life over here. So if any of you want to tell me what I should be doing, be my guest. Tell me what you think I should be doing. You've probably got a much better perspective because you know me and you look at me and you talk to me, and sometimes people in my life I feel know me a little better than I know myself. At the end of all of that, I still wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do. So I decided I would go to Victoria Uni. It's artsy. Are any of you guys interested in going to Victoria Uni? Cool. I went to all the school trips. I looked at Otago, I looked at Vic, I did look at Camp America. I was very interested in Camp America. I went to all the interviews. I was just, I was kind of like seeing all of the paths, having a little glance, like every individual path to see which one took my fancy. And I went to Vic. Now, Vic is an incredible school. I made some of my best friends for life, but pretty much from the second I arrived, probably even before then, when I went for the tour, I knew that I had a different calling, and I couldn't see what it was, and I didn't know what it looked like, and it terrified me, absolutely terrified me. So I kind of ignored it. I was like, nope, we're going to university. I'm going to get a double degree in theatre and English. Perfect. That's got my name written all over it. I love theatre. I love writing. I'm going with all my friends. Wellington is a very trendy city, cute cafes and all. So I'll be going to Wellington. After one academic year, I left Vic and I came back to Queenstown and I booked a flight to London to audition for the 4 most elite drama schools. That was probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my entire life, because I was a girl who figured everything out 20 business days before it happened. I was the to-do list, the planner. I was the one organizing all the group catch-ups. I was Miss Organization. And suddenly I had dropped out of uni. I had gone home and I had booked a ticket one way to London to audition for 4 schools that audition 6,000 people and take 25 annually. And I had never done anything like it before. I was really terrified. Lots of the same people who asked me, oh, what are you doing? What would you like to do with your life? And I said, I don't know. Now they were asking me, oh, how's Vic? And I was like, oh, it's great. I dropped out. Oh, whoops, that wasn't very pleasing. And I flew to London. I turned up to these audition rooms. Everyone was, doing vocal warm-ups, cartwheels, handstands, lunges, the whole thing. Everyone's done this a million times before. I turned up, no idea what to do, a little too nervous to ask any questions, wasn't sure if I had the right address. And once again, I had a Sean moment. Everyone was assertively confident, leading, using the room, making space for themselves. And once again, I was quietly figuring out what I was doing in this room. And I'd sit to the person next to me who was waiting to go into the audition, and I'd start talking. And I realized again that my kind of like leadership superpowers were coming to the front, which is conversations in times of stress, or like idle conversations with strangers to try and make meaning out of something that's otherwise quite terrifying or painful or stressful. I auditioned for 4 schools. I got a call back to the last 180 of one of them, but I didn't get into any schools. Panic, pandemonium, horror, stress, the whole thing. Came back to New Zealand, had to tell everyone, guys, I dropped out. I went to London. I did all my auditions and I didn't get in anywhere. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Terrible. What am I going to do with myself? So I got a job. I stayed in Queenstown. I literally had zero idea of what I wanted to do. And then 2 days before the application was due, I auditioned for New York University, which has a drama school called Tisch School of the Arts, which is a pretty good art school. And I emailed Mr. Nathan and I said, I really need a reference. It's due in 12 hours. I would really appreciate if you'd be able to write anything, just for it to be sent through, so I can even, qualify to be, you know, considered, because it was, the US has got like a lot of documents for really doing anything, so it has to be done months in advance. And I was so lucky that everyone kind of wrote their applications and sent them in. And I ended up getting into New York University and I got into Tisch, which is where I am now, at Tisch. Of course, there was a little bit of the pandemic in the middle of that. And I ended up staying in New Zealand for 6 months at the beginning of my degree. And I was Zooming in every morning to New York at 4 a.m. New Zealand Standard Time. And I was having lessons in my living room, dance lessons, meditation, acting, improv, dialects class at 4 a.m. on Zoom like this. I'd turn up at 4 a.m. in Queenstown. Morning, everyone. And they'd be all over the US. Morning, Beats. How are you? What time is it? 4 a.m. Great. And I did all my classes like that. I'll tell you what, if there's ever a way to stand out in a crowd, it is by making something very hard look quite easy. Because there were so many opportunities to have a good old moan at 4 a.m. doing some stupid dance in my living room in the pitch black. But I was chirpy, so excited to be here. And to this day, I think a lot of people that I really look up to kind of have me in their good books, or email me through opportunities, or just kind of have like a respect for the kind of hard yards I put in early on. Arrived in New York, love it here, incredible. But I think that whole story, and I think maybe it's helpful or maybe it's not helpful to know a little bit about like an unusual route out of high school, is that I hope that maybe that might take the pressure off you guys decide what you might want to be doing. I mean, whether it's no uni, whether it's Otago, whether it's Vic, whether it's traveling, whether it's kayaking around New Zealand, whatever it is, you have got time, and there are so many things, so many jobs that exist that you don't even know about, so many places in the world that you've never visited that you don't even know exist. There are so many people you haven't met yet who are going to offer you exciting jobs and friendships, and you've not even met them yet. You don't even know they exist. Like, I think it's really exciting. And coming back to the introduction thing, like getting really good at introducing yourself and seeing it as an opportunity to be specific about who you are, it's just so exciting. There was another thing that I thought would be helpful to talk about. So I kind of glossed over briefly one of the schools in the UK. It's called RADA. Has anyone heard of RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art? Oh, don't even talk to me about RADA. This is like one of the best acting schools in the world, probably the best. It's called the Royal Academy of the Dramatic Art because the Queen is literally the like overseer of the school. It's gorgeous. It's practically in a palace. It's kind of like the best of its kind. It's really, really exciting. And I have auditioned for that twice now. It is my absolute dream. It's the dream that makes me really scared. It's the thing that challenges me the most. It's the thing that keeps me up at night. It is the reason why I booked a one-way ticket to London. And I feel that it would be really easy to like not talk about it, or to, put it under the table, or I don't know what else. I guess what I'm trying to say is the best, scariest, most exciting dreams are the ones that really like you struggle to put into words, or like it makes you a little nervous talking about. And I think I would really like encourage you to really think of the thing that you really want to pursue that's like crazy. Like it almost makes people laugh when you say it, because they're like, okay, calm down. Like really get used to saying it and get used to talking about it. And I think coming from New Zealand, we are really good at being quite polite, and we are really good at dreaming in like very chew-offable little bites. And when I came to the US, one of the fastest growth spurts I had was realizing that there were a lot of people who were a lot ballsier than me, who had a lot bigger dreams, and they were very, very happy about talking about it. And I remember the first drama class I had here, the teacher was like, right, okay, who's first to do their monologue? And of course, in New Zealand, everyone's like, oh, I want to go first. Well, in the US, all 20 people immediately put their hand up. And I realized that it's actually a really good skill to want to do something, or to be first, and to, want to do something, like do your monologue or anything that's in that genre, be first to go for something, or speak, or ask a question in a Q&A, or just really flex that muscle, because it is a little muscle that you can really work to have the confidence to kind of speak out, or do things first, or pitch yourself, or dream really big, or I always have a list in the back of my mind about if my dream job walked up to me on the street and was like, hi, we'd like to offer you a job, we can give you any job, what is it? I have figured out I need to know my answers, because at any given moment this universe is big enough and crazy enough, and people are magical enough to really meet in unusual circumstances, complete chance, complete luck. And for someone to walk up to me and say, what's your dream job? Or I know a few people who work in your industry, talk to me about what you want to do. And I guess it's so fun to think about if someone walked up to you right now and was like, hey, you just graduated Wakatipu, so exciting. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What's the dream? Tell me the dream. I would sit there for 5 minutes I don't know, give me a moment. Jeez, give me a moment. I haven't thought about this. And I feel one of the best things that I've learned in the past 6 months probably is being what do I want? I think being a good leader is figuring out, cutting through the self-doubt and the worry and the stress of whether people are going to like you or not, and being able to really back yourself up and advocate for your needs and the people around you, and having friends that really fan your flames, and creating a group of people who celebrate all of your wins, and creating a really, really healthy biodynamic little universe where you just want to celebrate each other and figure things out and work on things in your own time, and introduce yourself and take pleasure in introducing yourself and meeting new people, because all the time out of high school, you're going to have the opportunity now to meet new people. You're about to walk into a whole new world where you don't get to turn up to class every day with your friends. You get to meet new friends every day. It is so exciting. You get to meet new teachers, new employers, new people. You get to be exposed to new hobbies, new careers, new shops, new routines, new everything, just constantly evolving and regenerating and growing. And the ability to step into that and just have your arms wide open and introduce yourself and be specific about what you want and what you see, and dream really big, dream so big that it actually terrifies you. And people might laugh and you'll say, I know, it's pretty crazy, right? Because all of the greatest leaders in our world right now knew what they were going to do when they were your age, when they were our age. Steven Spielberg used to write his name on a Post-it note and stick it to his bedroom door and make people knock and say they want to speak to the director. He knew. And everyone would be laughing at him. And he knew way before anyone else. He's like, guys, just you wait. You don't even know. So I feel like you've got to believe yourself. And definitely, I feel that New Zealand has given me every service, but maybe the one slight disservice is making me feel a little shy about presenting and introducing myself and going first. And I think leadership is all about really the way that you want to lead, and the way that you want to lead is a massive reflection of who you actually are. You can't be this kind of leader and this kind of person. Whatever kind of leader you are and whatever kind of person you are, they're going to be made of the same cloth. So I think if you can really fill up your own cup and become the best version, coolest, most authentic, assertive, snazzy, I can walk into a room, I can talk to the grandma, I can talk to the CEO, I can sit in the massive couch and also sit cross-legged on the floor. I can be so dynamic and squeeze into tiny places and fill up huge rooms, then you're that kind of leader as well. You can't have one without the other. So I think that's like a big learning that I found is when you get out of school, it might be a little more relevant that you think of yourself as not a leader of your peers, but now you're kind of your own leader, and the way that you walk through the world will determine your collaborations, and collaborative environments will always have leaders. So it's almost like reversing what you've come to learn. And that's really exciting. Like, I think you kind of get your wings in high school and then you just fly. And I dare you to pick like the craziest flight, like do the craziest somersaults with new people, say yes to loads of opportunities, get really good at introducing yourself, figure out what you want, write down your dream job, stick it on your wall, make people knock when they come in, like really like figure out what you want to do, dream it. Americans are very good at this. I have learned a lot about like really believing in yourself and putting your hand up first to go and distinguishing your own leadership. Like for me, I know that it's all about abundance mentality. Another thing is, you know, like in the expert's mind, there are no ideas, but in the beginner's mind, there are many. Like be really comfortable being a learner and being a newbie and not knowing what you're doing. The number of times I've been like, what's that? Or I don't know what you're talking about. Or can you show me that again? I think clarification is really good and not something to be like nervous about, but relish in being the newbie. Oh my gosh, it's so great. You don't know what you're doing. So there's only up from here. The learning curve is like this, straight up. And it's so much easier to ask for help than not know what you're doing and then obviously not know what you're doing. Yeah, I think like those are all of the main things I wanted to like talk about in terms of my path out of high school, introduction, specificity. I mean, I spend 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. in classes Monday to Friday, and then 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. rehearsing shows. And I'm in a group of the same 15 people, and all we talk about in our classes is specificity, introduction, being vivid, inimitability, the ability to be one of a kind, how to pitch yourself, how to build a massive community of like people who just fan your flames and love celebrating with you and sending you things that you might want to show up for or audition for, just like building a group of people who you love being around. And when maybe your RADA happens, the equivalent of RADA, which for me was not getting into my dream drama school, you know, keep at it, keep talking about it, keep auditioning, keep showing up in the arena. I was sitting on a plane the other day and I look over and the screen next to me literally says in huge letters, "Please, Lord, let me get into RADA." And I was like, are you joking me right now? Someone is watching a documentary and they've zoomed in on this like journal of this lady has written, "Please let me get into RADA." And I was like, it just will not leave me alone. And then yesterday I walk out of going grocery shopping and there's a new restaurant that's just opened on my street called RADA, R-A-D-D-A. So I'm a big believer in things coming around and timing, and sometimes you've got to catch the next train and you think you've missed it, but you've actually caught the right one. So yeah, those would be like all the key things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about leadership, I guess specialized, because maybe I'm more of like a speaker who's more relevant in age to you guys because I only graduated so recently. And I know that if I was sitting in your seat, I really relished talking about things that felt really like highly personalized and relevant to leaving high school because I was a bit of a stress pot about it. So I guess I wanted to, if I could at all, take any pressure off that step, just like eradicate the terror around picking a path, because there is no path. There's like 50 million paths. And you can always chop over into the next one or backwards or pave a new one. That's always fun. And big, like you've got a gorgeous small town of extremely talented people and you're about to like flourish into this new world. And the world is really your oyster, and dream really big. Dreams, like I dare you to think of something that actually makes you like shake in your boots. Like the biggest dream that like you can't even write down or that you don't want to tell anyone because it's embarrassing. Like figure that out, whether that's you want to be like a professional something or other, or you want to be the first person on the moon, or you want to be a Formula One driver, or you want to fly around the world and, you know, have those things all figured out. So when people ask you, do you want to? You'd be like, yeah, I'm ready. Rather than, oh my gosh, I didn't think anyone was going to ask me. You know, I'm waiting for the day when someone in New York City walks up to me on the street and says, hi, we know that you read the New Yorker every day and you love the Table for Two column where we write about a new restaurant that pops up every week. We saw that you wanted to be an editor. Do you want to take that over today? I'd be like, yes, I've been waiting for this. I have been waiting for someone to walk up to me and offer me this job. I've been thinking about it a lot.
Just frozen for a sec there.
Okay.
Oh, you're back.
Yay! I'm so glad the Wi-Fi held out that long because I guess that's where I'm at. And if you guys have any questions, I'd love to hear them. You can ask me anything. I'm very good with any kind of question, like an honest one, a personal one, anything in the middle. Is that you, Jessie?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
First, thank you so much for coming and speaking to us. This has been amazing. But I was just because I really enjoy drama and performing arts and things. And next year, I'm planning on taking a gap year, but hopefully in the future, pursue something in that kind of realm. I was just wondering, do you enjoy like New York for one, living there and studying there? And do you enjoy the courses you're taking and yeah, that kind of thing?
I love the US. I love New York. I feel like if you want to learn something, you should always try and learn from the best. And it's so exciting figuring out. You know, I really wanted to pursue theatre in some form, like a lot of you guys, and I wanted to go somewhere that taught it really well, really high level. So I put myself in a pretty scary arena and got rejected and turned up to some really scary auditions. But sometimes in order to do something like really exciting, like move to New York, you have to put yourself out there in pretty scary spaces. But also like the travel abroad route, like maybe taking a year off. I feel like coming back to uni or college, coming back to college, with a few years under my belt was only a massive service to me. Like, so I feel like if that's your kind of way of navigating uni or college or whatever, is taking a year before coming back to it, I think whatever way you do it is absolutely perfect. Like, go travel, go be a learner of life, and then come back to being a learner. Indeed. Yes.
My name's Elise. I actually remember you from Arrowtown Primary. Way back when. So my question is, how do you get yourself into like a position of leading or organizing events on such a big scale, like for a cause or YPNZ?
So I feel that with Cook for a Cause and YPNZ, it was something that like I planted the seed when I was quite young. And then as I got older, I kind of like graduated into the higher level thinking. So I guess as like a year 13 and you're leaving school, it would be more about like finding passion projects or things that you really enjoy. You could kind of like move up the ranks with as you get a little older. But definitely YPNZ and Generation Give, like I was involved with with 40 Hour Canon from year 9, and then every year just kind of saw other people lead it and thought, oh, I really want to do that. So when it kind of got to my year, it was like, let's choose something really different and crazy that's not been done before, and let's like really shape the tradition of what this looks like. You know, not eating for 40 hours. Well, why don't we do something for 40 hours that's instead of like unproductivity, let's make it really productive and go up the other end and like cook for 40 hours instead of, you know, not eating. Let's do something like the act of doing rather than not doing. So we all cooked for 40 hours and yeah, just kind of like shaking a tradition and seeing what you can do with it that's wild.
Thank you.
Do you ever have or in your path to get to where you are now, has there ever been moments where people above you and really important people who you admire have sort of told you not to push as hard and go as fast as you are, and do you ever does it make you doubt yourself when people who are really important to you sort of tell you to hone it in a bit?
I think someone once said to me when I was head girl, "Oh, so you peaked now. Like, what are you gonna do after this?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's head girl, and then just downhill from there." I think that people are gonna ask you questions and frame things in ways that might rub up against you. For me, it's been comments, especially when I was feeling particularly sorry for myself after getting rejected from drama schools. I felt that every time people would ask me, "What are you doing?" I was hearing, "Why aren't you doing it?" They were asking me, "What are you doing?" And all I was hearing is, "You're not doing anything." So I feel like a lot of the time it's up to us to reframe things that people might say, which might not be particularly complimentary, and realizing that sometimes people are asking things and you're hearing them differently. But no, good question. I feel you just got to kind of troop on when things like that happen, get a good thick skin on you, and actually hear what people are saying. A lot of the time, the critic is your best friend. Like, people ask critical questions and they're not being rude. They are asking you to reevaluate something you might not have thought of before. So I think of the critic as a friend. I think that's served me really well, is realizing that people aren't out there to actually crush my dreams and make me feel bad about myself. Like the person at that, audition table wasn't there going, "Ha ha ha, she looks too happy, let's ruin her day." I wasn't ready at that time. And the critic is my friend. And it's easier to think of the critic as a friend than someone who's out to ruin your day.
Cool, thank you.
But maybe I'll close off now because I know you've only got a few minutes. But I just wanted to say, good luck, you guys. It's so exciting. You can always email me if I'm ever relevant in your journey. Now you're all leaving school, or if you're interested in the US, or just want to have a line of communication. I wonder if I can drop my email. There's something in cool messages. Oh, let's see if I can. Oh, very exciting.
Or Beatrice, I can get Odie to email it out to them if you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. But it was so good talking to you guys, even with a few technical difficulties, which is very on brand, may I say. I'm kind of glad no one was here to see me trying to figure out a hotspot off my phone to my laptop. But I just wish all you guys the absolute best. Have an amazing day. Have the most amazing day ever. I'm jealous. I want to be back in Queenstown, but I'll send you some New York warmth through the screen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.